other Google platform would be used also for continuing the class as well. So some of the problems for today is Zoom wise association and updating as well. So accordingly, now I think most of the participants are here. अदनान जावेद, आवाज जो है वो क्लियर है?
जी सर, बिल्कुल क्लियर आ रही।
तो जो जनरल कंटेंट्स हैं वो आपको सेंड किए गए हैं। ये अगर जीमेल पे भी आप एक्सेस कर लें ऑन गूगल कंटेंट, यू कैन बी एबल टू डाउनलोड द स्लाइड्स। और जो है ये अकॉर्डिंगली हम जो है वो टाइम वाइज और जो यूटिलाइजेशन है तो उसकी बेसिस पे ये जो स्लाइड्स हैं यहाँ से कवर करते हैं। तो एज पर द इंफॉर्मेशन to be followed on the slides, you can be able to check in the email as well. And hereby basically for the research methods, generally we have the process of evaluation and what the reviewers look for according to the procedure. So if funding agency accepts that the proposal has a potential, generally the potential, the development, the quality, the requirement of the information, how effectively you have been able to develop that particular plan, how effectively you have removed the mistakes, what standard you have adopted, and accordingly the requirement wise association, if those have been followed as per their routine link up checks. So those would ensure as well that you can be able to understand and you can be able to continue it according to the next guidelines of that company. So if you would see the slides in the beginning slides, basics of a research grant proposal, slide number 5, and then slide number 6, evaluation and what they look for, why they are basically requiring it from you, how they would check it up, how they would review it, and for that process to complete, the executive is in charge of the decision making. So obviously you submit some paper, you submit any document, you submit any thesis or book or plan. So as per the general procedure, there is an overall requirement that how they would be able to finalize it forward and how they would be able to process it and send it onwards. So for that routine, the executive is basically in the executive is the person who is overall in monitoring and in charge of that overall process. So for that to particularly consider, generally they would decide by viewing the executive summary. So since the chairman or the person who is heading the committee, so he has to have an idea of the overall plan. So there is an executive summary which is not in exactly technical words, but it is summarized words. Those are easy words. Those are to be helpful in understanding the nature of that project or what title it retains to or what particular decision or what particular area it lies on. So accordingly, the internal review stage is next onwards. So first of all, the head of the particular team who would check the executive summary, and then the internal review stage arrives whereby you can be able to satisfy internal reviewers, then it is sent to the external reviewers. First of all, there is internal review committee that within the company or within a certain factory or within a certain association organization, the people of that particular company will be able to check it up, and then the external reviewers, for example, required from the industry or ministry or any government or any regulation agency or any person who is related to that project. So for next stage, after the internal review committee stage, then it is the external review stage. So according to the checking phenomenon of the company itself, whereby it is basically checking all the procedures, then the external reviewers accept the internal committee who are outside that particular information. So according to the tips, according to the helping point wise, we do not have to underestimate the reviewers and make it easy and clear for the reviewer. So generally, summarizing it, since there are some concerns as well that we are generally following it in English language, and there can be summary or for easy understanding, you can ask questions and as well, and I am able to explain in Urdu also time to time for any person who has some confusion. So mainly in an interactive session, you can be able to ask and you can be able to clarify any situation or any confusion or any misunderstanding as well. And then obviously it would be easier for all of us as well. So एक तो जनरली इसमें ये है कि पोटेंशियल क्या है, कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, कितना वो जो है वो एक्सटर्नल रिव्यू के लिए कब भेजा जाता है, जब वो एक पास ओवर कर जाता है कि इंटरनली जो भी कमेटी है हमारी उसमें वो सब ये कह देते हैं कि ये अकॉर्डिंगली जो है अप टू द मार्क है, स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड है. सो इसको जो है वो नेक्स्ट ऑनवर्ड्स फिर उस कंपनी से बाहर के जो भी मिनिस्ट्री है या एक्सटर्नल रिव्यूअर जो इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यूअर्स होते हैं जो कि उस पर कोई राय दे सकते हैं, तो उनका एक्सपीरियंस है इस टॉपिक पर जो है, तो अकॉर्डिंगली देखें कि जब इसमें हेल्पलाइंस क्या है कि ऑब्वियसली you do not have to underestimate the reviewers. You should know their expertise, you should know their area, you should know what they are expecting, you should know what comments they can give, or you should know their PhD, or accordingly the industry they are working in, or how effectively they are looking for a certain information. So obviously you do not have to underestimate. किसी को भी कमजोर या किसी को भी जो है वो इनएलिजिबल नहीं समझना चाहिए, बल्कि एक पूरी तैयारी के साथ जो है उसके एक्सपेक्टेशन के मुताबिक या माइंडसेट के मुताबिक वो प्रोजेक्ट साइन करते हैं. So the more you synchronize your project with respect to their mindset, with respect to the level of thinking they have, level of experience they have, and then you are making it convenient and clear for the reviewer. So the more you help them by tailoring it according to their demand, the format is easy, written language is easy, it is not complicated, there are no cuttings or there is no confusion in terms of presenting the language or so on. It has been presented rightly and easily, and in terms of figures also to help, and all the concept diagrams are there, the tabular charts or the figure explaining the phenomena all have been included. So accordingly, these steps can be able to help the reviewer to understand and give further marks as well. So the exaggeration is to be avoided and support your claim with sound results and references. So exaggeration is whereby you put or where you claim more than that is being done. So obviously that is a situation that is to be totally avoided. So it should be realistic, it should be having sound results, effective references, realistic information should be there, and the information can be verified very easily. So it should not be more than what you are working on. So accordingly, the quality is judged by that whatever you have written, whatever you have claimed, whatever you are developing, or whatever the information that you are sending, it is all according to the market, all according to a certain phenomenon, all very well judged and very well verified, and there is no lie or there is no tall claims or any other claims that cannot be verified later on. So that is why basically to be judging it, to be precisely controlling it according to the requirements or the expectations of the particular reviewer. So making the grant write-up easy and clear for the reviewer, if you can see slide 7. So since a conference or in a meeting, if they meet and bring their heads together, they would be able to decide about the pros and cons, the advantages, or what would they get as a result of adopting this project, or what would they expect as a result of forwarding this or continuing it or sustaining it for the next stage, and what would be the expected phenomenon or as per the future if the guidelines are being met or not. So accordingly, they would agree that we fund only those proposals we can understand. So obviously, as per their demands, if they are able to understand, they are able to understand the results and effectively that targets are being met and the organization goals are being achieved and all the information is according to their demand, and they would say that it is not having tall claims or unrealistic claims, or all the information is practical and updated and latest technology and all the information has been required as per the mentioned format. So obviously they can be able to forward it and process it. So this is the beginning of the communication whereby your project plan proposal is verified and concluded and onward sent after it is up to a minimal level of acceptance. So ये है basically कि किस हद तक जो है वो उसको forward और further on process किया जा सकता है. Any question up to this stage?
Sir?
Yes.
What about the tips of a review? Can you explain again?
What about the
tips about a review?
Yes, the review wise, the helplines, the guidelines, or basically the information in terms of that according to their mindset of the reviewers, according to the expectation of the reviewers, if it is easy for them to understand, if it is clear and precise for them, since you are basically tailoring a project according to the needs of the company. So if you would say that the review is has expertise in this particular field, information technology, so accordingly the database and the programming and the coding and overall information that is up to the mark, so it should be free of any mistakes, it should be clearly explained, and it should be able to be understood by the reviewer, and there should be no unrealistic or any steps that have been verified accordingly. Those are shown that as a result of this equation, as a result of this derivation, as a result of this particular time utilization, or as a result of this effort week to week, you have been able to reach this particular conclusion. So when all of these information tips, all of these information progress is being presented according to the reviewer expectation, or according to what he is applying or what he is expecting for that information, so the more would be the chances that it would be successful, it would be accepted, and it would be forwarded for the next stage as well, right? So these are generally evaluation points and evaluation phenomenon and criteria and understanding for the basic helplines, for the basic guidelines that are necessary to be required. So generally, if you can be able to download, since the slides have been sent as well. So according to a certain structure, when is the stage for readiness to submit?
सर जो हमारी एग्जैक्टिव ये समरी है सर, पहले हमारी इंटरनल बॉडी इसको रिव्यू करेगी, फिर एक्सटर्नल बॉडी की तरफ मूव करेंगे।
जी, जो एग्जेक्टिव समरी है, देखें बेसिकली ये जो जनरल प्लान है, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट के ओवरऑल ये सिस्टम है, तो उसमें हमारे पास डिफरेंट ये जो स्टेप्स हैं, डिफरेंट इसके जो बेसिक ये जो रिसर्च प्लान कोई भी होता है, आपने देखा भी होगा रिसर्च पेपर में, जैसे इंट्रोडक्शन होता है, समरी होती है, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट होता है, या उसका मेथोडोलॉजी होती है, लिटरेचर होता है, लिटरेचर रिलेटेड पेपर्स होते हैं, ये इस तरह की जो चीज़ें हैं। तो जनरली एक जो एग्जेक्टिव समरी क्योंकि प्लान है, तो उसको चूंकि वो एक फंडिंग के लिए जो है वो कंपनी की एक रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, तो उसमें जनरली जो कंपनी की बेसिस पे जो नॉन टेक्निकल और इजी वे में, कंसाइज वे में, समराइज्ड वे में जो है वो एक अच्छे तरीके से वो सारा वो पॉइंट लाइंस जो है वो उसमें मेंशन कर दी जाती हैं कि अगर वो मैनेजमेंट का है, क्योंकि हायर जो भी अथॉरिटीज़ हैं, they may be related to management or HR or any other expertise. So if they are reading executive summary, so it should have a value added service as well related to a certain information or welfare based project. So accordingly, all the information that can be explained according to their expertise, कि अगर उनकी जो knowledge है वो HR में है या मैनेजमेंट में है या लैंग्वेज में है या किसी भी एरिया में है, तो वो जब एग्जेक्टिव समरी रीड अप करते हैं या उसकी बेसिस पे कोई भी कंक्लूजन करते हैं, तो उनके लिए वो इजी हो के वो अंडरस्टैंड जब क्लैरिफाई हो जाएगा, तो फिर ये है कि आपके लिए वो जैसे होता है ना कि आप जब कंपनीज में जाते हैं, मिनिस्ट्री में जाते हैं, तो एक बंदा हर्डल क्रिएट करता है, फिर दूसरा बंदा या तीसरा बंदा आपके लिए हर्डल क्रिएट करता है, डिले होता जाता है, तो आपका ही नुकसान है। तो जनरली वो उसका फायदा यही है कि उनके माइंडसेट या उनकी एक्सपेक्टेशन के मुताबिक पहले से ही अगर आपने डॉक्यूमेंटेशन कंप्लीट कर ली है तो उसमें कोई मसला नहीं होगा. सो अकॉर्डिंगली द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन हैज टू बी टेलर्ड, हैज टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड, हैज टू बी होमवर्क ऑन with the help of your supervisors, with the help of your seniors, with the help of people who are working with you generally, so that basically it is something that should not look alien or should not look foreign, but it should be as much as possible according to the knowledge of that person who is seeking it to be funded as well. It's clear, I think.
Thank you, sir.
So write up easy and clearing for the reviewer, and then the process of submission. Ready to submit, if you can verify on slide number 8, ready to submit. Once it is complete, it is concise, it has been including all the tables and figures and timelines and utilizations and the plan to be able to complete or all the format that is mentioned in the application, which has been downloaded from the web link. So accordingly, the stage is that it can be submitted now. So as the document is showing, so once it is complete, verified, so what are the procedures, what are the states, what are the stages? I think most of you are confused in this figure as well. Since maybe if you are working anywhere, or if you have submitted some documents, or if you have worked on your thesis or any research or any plan. So mainly I wanted to summarize it for you basically in order to remove any confusion, that what are the stages that are linked with all this process. Since starting at your end, all the parties, all the communication agencies, all the reviewers, all the companies, and all the funding processes, so they are interlinked, they are intercoordinated. So at the end of PI, or the principal investigator, PI is the principal investigator. So this all procedure is linked to the interaction between the funding agency, your institution, ORIC. ORIC is Office of Research, Innovation and Commercialization, and PI is the principal investigator. So starting from the principal investigator, the researcher himself, right? Then to coordinate with ORIC, Office of Research, Innovation and Commercialization, since ORIC is established on the agenda of Higher Education Commission at various universities. So if you are in any university, they would have their own independent ORIC. So first of all, you would consult ORIC that I have developed this particular plan. So they would be able to say that any funding or any requirement or any further addition or any university demands or any signatures or any information that is required by the company. So at the initial stage, ORIC has to be able to process that document. So once they have facilitated, once they have known that all the information is complete, right, then your institution would facilitate you at an internal stage level, one where we are talking about internal evaluations, right? So accordingly, at internal evaluation stage, your ORIC, director ORIC, or research ORIC, and then the institution where your registrar or where your director general research or director general for projects, they all are part of your institution. So you may be interacting with your registrar or deputy director or director of your company or institution. So once all the information has been shown to them, discussed with them, and their ideas have been included, if they have any further explanation or if they have any further requirement to be included, then you can be able to modify your project as well. And then onwards, it is to be processed and sent on to the funding agency, right? So funding agency, whereby your external reviewer or all the parties who are going to support this particular project, so they are at the next stage that they would hire some expert reviewers, and they can have their own reviewers also. So any funding agency, for example, Higher Education Commission, you have sent any project, so they would check themselves, and then they have hired some expert reviewers outside, external reviewers as well. so they would send it to them as well, so they can be able to gain the comments from their team and the expert reviewers. So maybe 4 to 5 reviewers, their own and the expert reviewers, all of their information and all of their observations are compiled, and then the result is sent to you. So you can say this is an interaction between 4 to 5 parties, where you start from your end, all the information is given, and you have discussed with ORIC and all your institution officers, and onwards to the agency and the expert reviewers, and or within these steps, it might take, the timeline is very important as well. It might take 1 year, or it might take 5 months, 6 months, or so on. So all these steps would be able to determine, would be able to define that actually how much time would be needed for this process to complete. So generally, this is a way accordingly to derive the development of a certain procedure. So this is how your overall system-wise, your research or the institution is keeping the idea of maintenance, or keeping the idea of how it has to be able to move on that particular project. तो ये जनरल उसका एक समराइज्ड फॉर्म है, ये उसका एक समराइज्ड इंफॉर्मेशन है. द रिकॉर्डिंग इज आल्सो गोइंग ऑन फॉर दिस लेक्चर एज वेल. ये साथ साथ आई थिंक ये रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, ठीक है. और इसमें जनरली देखें कि ये जो बेसिक क्या डिस्कस कर रहे हैं हम, कि ये जो इसमें पार्टीज हैं, ये जो प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर है, तो ये आपके इंस्टीट्यूशन में जो यूनिवर्सिटी ऑरिक है उससे फाइनलाइज करवा के कोई यानी फर्दर जो इसमें एडअप करना है, और फिर रजिस्ट्रार जो है इसको ओके करके, तो फिर ये फंडिंग एजेंसी को फॉरवर्ड होता है, जहाँ पे जो आउटसाइड जो आपने एक्सटर्नल रिव्यूज की बात की थी वो इसको फाइनलाइज करते हैं, और अकॉर्डिंगली फिर आपके पास ये रिजल्ट आता है, मे बी 10 months और 12 months एंड सो ऑन. ठीक है. एनी क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू दिस? आई थिंक इट इज क्वाइट phenomenal and clear as well. So if the submission of that proposal accordingly you have
sir,
जी, any question?
सर पीआई और इंस्टीट्यूशन, पीआई में प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर सर, हम तो उसी सब भी कुछ सबमिट करवाएंगे अपनी रिसर्च वगैरह सर.
जी जी.
और सर इंस्टीट्यूशन,
जी जी आप कंप्लीट कर लें.
और सर जो इंस्टीट्यूशन है सर उसका क्या रोल है बेसिकली सभी कोऑर्डिनेशन में? Director General of your institute or rector of your institute, they are basically able to say that the minimum requirements of this project have been completed. Since in the review process कुछ ऐसे ही जनरल डॉक्यूमेंट्स होते हैं कि उनका प्रॉपर्टी नहीं होती है, so maybe from the point of consideration point of only sending the effective or selective projects which have been able to complete with some months, there has been enough homework, there has been enough guideline in terms of including the required lab papers and all the necessary information which actually expects.
सर आपकी बात ठीक नहीं आ रही, कट के आ रही है. बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आ रही सर क्या बोल रहे हैं आप.
सेम इशू मेरे साथ.
What information is being oriented at a certain stage. So according to this situation, for example, your internal or your institution.
सर आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी हमें, सबको ही नहीं आ रही सर.
चले ये थोड़ा सा इसका अभी देख लेते हैं, इसको कोई वेट अप कर लेते हैं कि अभी अगर देखते
Sir, I cannot hear you, man.
नो सर.
सर आवाज नहीं ठीक आ रही सर. आपके आवाज
नाम में वीडियो बना के सर को सेंड आ रही है.
वीडियो में आवाज नहीं जाएगी, जस्ट वीडियो ही आएगी.
चलिए इसको फिर मैं अभी बात करता हूँ आपसे अदनान. जी शायद तक आवाज नहीं आ रही है. ये अभी मसला है आपके पास नेक्स्ट लेक्चर है, तो वो कंटिन्यू करेंगे. एमएस का प्लेटफॉर्म जो है वो फाइनेंस करना सक्सेसफुल है, तो ये जो है इसका आपका इशू है, इसको फाइनलाइज करके हम वीडियो कर देते हैं. और कोई लेक्चर के लिए कोई इनिशियल लेवल का क्विज रख लेंगे, क्विज 1 जो लेक्चर 1 2 3 पे जो है वो होगा, तो उस तरह से वो डिस्कस कर लेंगे या क्विज कंडक्ट कर लेंगे. नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में क्विज ले लेंगे, मैं आपको ईमेल कर दूंगा। हाँ, फर्स्ट 3 लेक्चर्स जो है, ठीक है जी जी। हाँ हाँ, वो इस तरह से फिर फाइनलाइज हो जाएगा। ठीक है, ठीक, ओके ओके। सो इट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे। ठीक है, ये आज का मसला है, तो वी वुड कंटिन्यू इट नेक्स्ट क्लास एज वेल।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन।
वालेकुम सलाम।
अच्छा